Welcome back, everybody, to the Always Bayern Chelsea show. Another late night edition of the show, hot and steamy, fresh off of a basketball game that, quite frankly, Jim dominated in. Some pickup basketball. Jim was the MVP, no doubt, in that one. But now we're here to talk about the weekend's matches: Bayern Munich against Leipzig, the Bundesliga opener, and Chelsea against West Ham. Welcome to the show.
Great to be here. We don't do a lot of these one-off previews, When we started this podcast, a lot of times we'd be doing, one show a week, maybe two if Bayern was in the Champions League or whatever, and then you'd kind of mix little previews with recaps. So good to have kind of a full episode of the first match of the Bundesliga for Bayern and Chelsea's second match in the Premier League, a must win for Chelsea.
Wow, a must win already, second week of the season. Huge.
Is West Ham.
True. Crosstown rivals. Um, but yeah, I can't believe you didn't say anything about me giving you the MVP of the basketball game today. Nothing?
That shows you how tired I am because my mind just went right over it. I appreciate the love. I had been a while since I picked up a basketball, but everything just comes back to you so instantly. And when I hit that three, technically a two toward the end, just felt smooth.
Well, it looked smooth and it's like riding a bike. But I will, before we start the show, say a couple things. One, subscribe, please, to the YouTube channel. Drop us a comment. We respond to them. Maybe give us your predictions. And maybe that's another good thing too. I almost forgot what to say here, but yeah, like, subscribe, comment, please, all the stuff. We're gonna be, you know, like Jim said, doing a lot this season, previews, recaps, all that stuff. And the season's starting, so we're pumped up about it. And the last thing I want to say is we did receive a couple of items all the way from Stamford Bridge. Our good friend and also listener of the show, Noah. Noah, this really means the world to us. We appreciate it. Noah is a world traveler and he was in London not too long ago. So we picked up a Reece James, old school with the dreads, mini bobblehead. Reece James right there. Again, my favorite Chelsea player, so that's pretty sweet. And also a retro kit. You can kind of put stickers on the back and choose who you want it to be. So very sweet, very thoughtful, and very awesome gifts. And we'll probably pass these between us, but you might see them in the back of a set one of these days.
Yeah, not to mention multi-time contributor to the podcast, Noah. Let's not forget that.
Oh, man. I guess I'm tired too because yeah, we've had Noah on the show. So go ahead, check out those episodes, goalie talk and FC Noah
Yep.
contributor. So we got that. I also just put out a Bundesliga prediction, full table prediction. So if you want to see that, go ahead, listen to it. We recapped the Super Cup. We recapped week one. But without further ado, let's jump into it. How about we start with Bayern because they kick off the weekend about 30 minutes before Chelsea, hosting RB Leipzig in the first week of the Bundesliga. I'm pumped.
I'm so pumped. I'm going to do my best to catch both these matches while I'm up north, hoping to either go to a bar and then ask for them to put on the Chelsea match or go to a coffee shop, get some Wi-Fi, whatever the case. Either way, I'll for sure be able to watch the first half hour, I think, of the Bayern match before Chelsea starts. And I'm really excited for this one because I get to see a potential blue in this match, Xavi Simons. And not to mention, it's also Bayern's first match in the Bundesliga. So just need to see the boys come to play fired up. I think it's going to be awesome.
Yeah, really big things all around. I'm gonna have to see when I can catch it. If I won't be able to in person, I'll be photographing the Milwaukee Mile, IndyCar races all weekend long, and you know, maybe there will be a lull in the action on Friday, and I'll be able to catch some stuff. But regardless, we'll keep you covered somehow. But yeah, why don't we start off? Maybe talk a little bit about Leipzig. New manager this year, Ole Werner, who was previously managing Werder Bremen last year. If you remember, Marco Reus was the RB Leipzig manager for most of the year. Good buddy, I believe, of Jurgen Klopp, too, of Red Bull notoriety. So I was a little surprised when the firing happened, but you could see the writing on the wall because Leipzig last year took a massive dip in form, one of the most pathetic looking teams in the Champions League, and also dipped so low in the Bundesliga that they lost out on European competition for the first time in who knows how long. So really looking to turn things around. I do think Ole Werner is a good manager. So far, Leipzig has played already their first round match in the DFB Pokal, the German Cup. Actually went down to a fourth division side, Sandhausen. I don't know how you even say it. That's how low of a team they are in the fourth tier regional Bundesliga or whatever. But they ended up winning 4-2. So they started off the season on the right track after a little bit of a scare.
Yeah, interesting season for them last year. As you mentioned, just didn't really perform well at all. A little bit of the laughing stock of the German league there, which isn't like them, especially coming off a year where they acquire Klopp, as part of their conglomerate now. And, you would have expected bigger things after that had happened. And they have a lot of talented players in their squad. So kind of surprising. We'll see if they can bounce back this season. They're definitely going to be super hungry. I know they've potentially lost a couple players as we get to the end of the transfer window here, which we'll discuss, but I still think they will be a hungry team coming off of last year.
Yeah, totally agree. And, I think potentially, as you'll see if you watch my prediction video, I don't have them finishing super, super high in the league, but I do think that the lack of European competition this year will allow them to focus a little bit more on the Bundesliga, maybe keep some key guys healthy. But yeah, Leipzig is a team where, I feel like it's hard for them to ever build any sort of chemistry. You have players that come and go all the time. You have managers that come and go. They're kind of one of those teams, and old school Dortmund did this well. I think Frankfurt does it really well. So I'm not saying just because they're more of a selling club, they can't be a cohesive unit. Like I said, Frankfurt, I think, is a great example of that. Dortmund in the past is as well. But something about Leipzig, it's just like, I don't know if it's the Red Bull stain in my mind as one of the few teams in the Bundesliga that's kind of skating the 50 plus one rule there. But something about them. I view Leipzig as a team that has a tremendous amount of individual talent, but they can never just put it together.
Yeah, and that's kind of their model, I feel like, with the Red Bull conglomerate, as I said. So it's not that surprising to hear. I still think a lot of times when you have talent, it can shine through, and they've had some successful seasons. So it's just about finding the guy that can put that talent together and in the right direction.
Yeah, and let's talk about some of their key players because you already mentioned Xavi Simons likely to be a blue before the end of the transfer window. Benjamin Sesko sold to Manchester United. I really think Sesko is a great striker. I think physically his ceiling is the moon. Seriously, like his physical profile and ability is the moon. He's tall, he's strong, but he also has a little bit more quickness to him. So I think really, like, if he keeps developing, he could be one of the world's best strikers. That being said, going to United, that place is always a dumpster fire. So who knows if it'll actually um, skyrocket his career or if he'll completely fall off. But the guys that they did keep and I think will be keeping, Lois Openda on the attacking side, great player, a guy who will get you goals, a guy who will get you assists. Have to mention Timo Werner, of course, because he's a former Chelsea guy. I think made the move out of Germany a little too early. Took the big paycheck, went to Chelsea, and his career has kind of never really been the same. But on the defensive side, you have guys like David Raum and Benjamin Henrichs, who are German national team guys. You'd recognize them if you watch the German national team, and also their Peter, their keeper. Man, late night episodes, folks. Their keeper, Peter Gulacsi. I think that's how you say his name. Just another like Bundesliga mainstay who you recognize if you watch the Bundesliga. So again, they have the talent, but will they put it together this year? Yet to be seen.
Yeah, I mean, out of those guys, I know Openda is a solid player, so that's one to watch if you're a Bayern fan. In terms of Timo Werner, he is a reason that a lot of Chelsea fans are scared anytime we buy players from the Bundesliga. You talked about that Bundesliga tax. Chelsea really have not had many successful Bundesliga players at all. So, that's kind of part of it, Timo Werner.
Yeah, definitely. But moving on to Bayern Munich, let's just talk about Bayern a little bit. Obviously, fresh off of the Super Cup victory against Stuttgart. Really a solid performance, I thought, from Bayern Munich overall. Obviously, you would have liked to see a few more goals hit the back of the net. But overall, like you're coming off of a shortened preseason due to the Club World Cup. Some guys are still rusty, probably. And, overall, I thought Bayern looked good. Stuttgart is a tough team, especially playing at Stuttgart is never easy. They have great fans, and Bayern got the win. So I think we're going to see a similar lineup in this one, potentially exactly the same lineup. You've seen Konrad Leimer got injured against Stuttgart and was kind of held out of training. Kane hasn't been training, but the reports are it's just a rest, so he'll probably be fine. Serge, it looks like, is in training, even though he picked up a knock against Stuttgart. But I'm just going to go with probably the same lineup that we saw against Stuttgart, which would be Neuer at keeper, Leimer at right back, Upa and Ta as the center back, Stanisic as the left back, Kimmich and Goretzka in the midfield. Pavlovic is a potential option if he can get healthy, but I don't think he's going to start in this one. I think Olise will probably be at the right wing, Serge at the 10, but you could see those two flip. And I think we'll see Luis Diaz at the left wing and Harry Kane at the 9. So a solid lineup, a lineup that should be able to get the job done if the players play up to their potential. But we're going to have to see, especially with a lot of these guys not training and potentially not healthy.
Yeah, I do think they'll go with that exact same lineup. Just interesting to watch what they do with the 10 and right wing. I just need to see Elise stay out on that right wing more. I think they'll just have a lot more success if he does that. I don't think Serge is the greatest 10 of all time, but I just think you're missing out, as we've discussed, if Elise is not consistently out on that right wing. So that to me is a huge part to watch, but agreed that I think Bayern are the better team. They have more talent and they are playing well. They played well against Stuttgart, so I expect them to come out firing here.
Yeah, agreed. And, we mentioned this in our breakdown of the Super Cup, but you see a lot of people chirping at Company to play the youngsters, start the youngsters. I don't think this is a match for it, and I don't think that Company will. It's yet to be seen, really, if he's going to trust these guys at all in the Bundesliga. But I don't think this is the match for it, like I said. I think other matches will be the matches for it. We'll see if Company thinks the same. But, I would like to see, depending on how the match goes, a little bit more than just garbage time, stoppage minutes for guys like Carl, guys like Bischoff. I mean, you could start Bischoff at the 10. That wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. Paul Vonner, I don't know if he's necessarily ready. He was such a bright young talent and then kind of fizzled out last year at Heidenheim, did not put up good performances for I believe it was the U21 German national team. Um, and it's a bummer. I think he still has the potential to be very good, but and started off really hot on Heidenheim honestly last year for about 6 matches, and then just like totally fell off the face of the earth. So there's some options there for Company, but I think he's gonna go with the vets, and I think it'll be enough to get the job done at the Allianz.
Yeah, at some point you do have to throw those guys into the fire. It just is about finding the right time. First match of the season at home in front of the rowdy fans, probably not the time to do it.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Um, let's get some predictions. Let me get a prediction from you for final score in this one.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go 3-1 in favor of Bayern. Again, first game of the season, fans are gonna be up for it. Really tough task if you're RB Leipzig. I do think Xavi sneaks the goal in, points to the camera, gives a little ring ring, letting Chelsea know he's on the way.
Yeah, I am a fan of Xavi as well. I think I would not be surprised if he scores whatsoever. I think I'm gonna go 3-2 Bayern in this one. Um, I know I put a prediction in our preview, which I'll be dropping tomorrow, graphic preview with all the stats you need to know. So follow us on Twitter for that one. But I mean, I can just change it if that's not what I put. But 3-2 is what I'm feeling at this moment right now. Bayern Munich get the win in a not necessarily a goal fest, but I mean, 5 goals in one match, pretty exciting. So that's what I'm going to go with. I'll say Xavi and Openda score for Leipzig. For Bayern, I'm going to say Kane, Olise, and Leon Goretzka.
Yeah, my goals for Bayern will be Elise, Kane, and I'll go Surge.
Very nice, very nice. I think that pretty much can wrap up our Bayern preview. I don't know if you have anything else to say, but that's kind of the meat and potatoes of my outline.
Yeah, let's go right over to the Chelsea Football Club, my Blues in London, playing in a London derby against the tiny tinkering Hammers, Graham Potter's boys over there. We know a lot about Graham Potter. We know he says the same things after every press conference. I've already seen predictions that he's going to say after this match, the lads gave everything. And, that's what he said after every match for Chelsea. So, going to be an interesting one. West Ham looked absolutely terrible against Sunderland, lost 3-0 to the newly promoted side. Chelsea, of course, as we know, had the draw against Palace, another London derby. So both teams will be eager to play better in this one.
Yeah, I mean, what a horrible, horrible start to the season for West Ham. I mean, I think Sunderland will be better than, certainly better than the teams that were promoted last year, but I think they'll be decent enough for a second half of the table team. But man, 3-0. I mean, come on, Graham Potter. I don't honestly, I don't want to trash the guy too much, but how is he employed?
Yeah, he just hasn't shown much, to be honest. Their team is interesting. We'll start with them. They have a few new signings. Diouf, if that's how you pronounce it, he's their left wing back now. Callum Wilson, who kind of comes off the bench as a forward. We know him from his days in Newcastle. And then Hermansen, who is the keeper for the Hammers, coming over from Leicester City. Pretty solid keeper, but looked horrific, allowing the third goal. I actually watched most of the game, West Ham against Sunderland. So that's something to watch. Most of their attack just really goes through Jared Bowen. When you watch, he plays for England. He's a really solid right wing forward. But if he's not playing well, this West Ham team, in my opinion, pretty much offers nothing on the attack.
Now, is Nicholas Fulkrug still on West Ham? I mean, he was hurt for most of the year last year.
He is.
Actually,
Yep.
was really looking forward to watching him play, but he's just a guy who I feel like yeah, works better in the Bundesliga. Although he is like a traditional, just strong target man, number nine. The thing I'll say about Fulkrug is he just is awesome to watch on the German national team, like clutch as hell on the German national team. You throw him in the 85th minute if you need a goal, and there's a good chance he'll get you one. But outside of his career with Germany, I don't know if he really offers you much anymore.
Yeah, he's not done much for West Ham. Really poor against Sunderland. They kind of have a front three of Fulkrug on the left, Bowen on the right, and I can't place who was really playing in the center there for them, but Fulkrug did not look great. He's even said lately that the Hammers, have a mindset problem, apparently. I read that on the internet. So
Wow.
I don't know if he's trying to fire the lads up, but it sounds kind of tough for the Hammers. And you also got Graham Potter talking about the team not playing with the right fundamentals. I mean, it kind of seems like a mess for them. Um, so we'll see. I think this is a match where Chelsea really could take advantage of a struggling squad and look to get their offense humming. That's my hope in this one.
Yeah, do you think Chelsea is going to roll with the same lineup that had some offensive struggles last week? Or do you think they're going to put in the fiery Estevao?
I think they will roll with the same lineup. I think this game's going to be a little bit more open against the Hammers. They're not Crystal Palace, super solid defensively, going to play that back five. So I think Jamie Gittins on the left wing will have more space where he can go right at guys with his superb dribbling and look to get some more shots off. I think Estevao, as much as I've seen him be super impactful to start the season and in preseason, I just think you still got to give him time and be patient, roll him out in ways where he can gain confidence. And that to me is as an impact sub to start the year. When you give him 20 minutes, 30 minutes, you can then really go all out and show your best as opposed to playing 90 minutes, kind of grinding it out more.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think I would stick with the same lineup. I would try to get guys like Jamie Gittins some confidence against West Ham. And I think you said it perfectly. I think Estevao is an awesome super sub. Like, I think you bring him in when guys are already tired, and he's just gonna cook defenses. And again, that's like a good way to ramp him up into the Premier League. He's so young. Get him some confidence, and I'm expecting him to be used as a sub in this one, but like regardless, I'm just really looking forward to it.
And what you said is what's great about this Chelsea attack. If you're grinding teams down and then all of a sudden you see an Esteval coming off the bench, a Delop, who's a guy that's going to take it right at you. If Gittins is coming off the bench, depending on who you bring in also on the left wing, whether it's Garnacho or Simmons, coming in somewhere over there. If Neto comes off the bench, any of these guys, it's so electric in the attack that it's going to be tough for teams to play against whoever's starting and then see great players and great talent coming off the bench. So, I do think Delop is an interesting option as well off the bench here. People thought he could have been a good option against that low block, but Delop to me is also a guy who's super direct with his runs, great in transition, in space. That was kind of his game at Ipswich, a low possession team. So he could also have a lot of success against a West Ham type team.
Yeah, I do agree with that. I also think that João Pedro could potentially tear a team like this apart. And I don't know all that much about West Ham, but from what I do know about them, I really feel like the combination of João Pedro and Cole Palmer could just like rip this team apart and score multiple goals.
Yeah, Cole Palmer is definitely going to have to bounce back. Didn't look the greatest against Palace. Not that anybody looked great, but he just couldn't find the right pockets, the right space, get passes off to his teammates and make that connection. I think he's bound to be better here for sure. I think he at least gets an assist, maybe a goal as well. I just think, he's bound to bounce back. I'm going to keep saying that. Same with Enzo. I think, and if Enzo's not back and fit, then, maybe we have to start more of a dialogue on that. But these guys in their second match now, just they need to show that they're up to the level because you can't drop a bunch of points to start the year.
Agreed. What do you think about Chelsea's midfield slash defense? I feel like this might be a better match for Tosin if he's fit. It's tough because on one hand, I feel like I like what Josh can bring to you if you want to just control possession, and same with Chalaba. But on the other hand, I feel like Tosin, um, can just body a guy like Fulkrug, where some of these other center backs that Chelsea has healthy right now could potentially get kind of roughed up by a roughhouser like Fulkrug.
Yeah, I loved what Josh showed me against Crystal Palace. I think he's probably going to start again alongside Chalaba. I just haven't heard anything about Tosin or Fofana if they'll be back. So I'm going to assume that they're not back. And if they are, it would be off the bench. At some point, you have to bring Fofana onto the pitch, but it's not going to be a start right away. And Tosin, we'll see. If he's back in front of Achimpong, I'm fine with that. I think what he provides is fantastic in that central center back spot. I'm not too concerned about West Ham, so I think no matter who's starting, you're going to be fine, along with Reese and Cucurella as well. And then I think it'll be Enzo and Caicedo in that midfield once again, and Santos for sure off the bench. You might see a Sugo as well if Chelsea, maybe go up at least a couple goals.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think I would start the same lineup that I did, or I guess that Enzo did against Palace. I'm not the manager. Forgot I wasn't the manager for a second, but I think I would start the same lineup, except if Tosin is like healthy and ready to go, I think I would probably start Tosin. But I really, like I said, I like what Achimpong can bring you on the ball, and in especially against a team like West Ham, you can probably control possession.
Yeah, I mean, we know Enzo Maresca wants to control possession no matter who he plays against. So that's definitely going to be the move. The only other things I have to note in this match, number one, we did see a report that West Ham tried at some point to get Andre Santos from Chelsea, apparently for 45 million, and we said no. So I loved hearing that. And we've seen so much interest for Santos. Bayern at one point had interest. A lot of top clubs had interest. So great to see that Chelsea backs him.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, I feel like if you're Chelsea, you got to see what he can do in the Premier League. And then if it turns out that for whatever the case, he's not going to break into your starting lineup or whatever, think about what his future is. But for now, I don't see any reason whatsoever to sell him.
Yeah, definitely agree. The only other note here, Michael Oliver reffing this match, just not the greatest ref. I don't want to spend too much time talking about him, but not a good ref.
I'll talk about him because he did ref the Bayern match against Flamengo, refed a lot of Bayern matches in the past poorly, along with Anthony Taylor, who got the PSG match. And I will just say that that was like my living nightmare. Oliver and Taylor back to back. I'm glad that's over.
Just brutal stuff. Seeing either of them coming your way.
Yeah, yeah. And I don't think I have anything else to say either about this one. Looking forward to it. I'll for sure make sure to catch highlights. Again, I don't know what my weekend's gonna look like yet. And even into my week next week with another event in Milwaukee to photograph. So I'll be sure to get you covered no matter what. But yeah, we'll see what my Chelsea watching is like this weekend.
Yeah, completely fair. If you're listening, watching now, it's going to be an interesting weekend. I say weekend, but they just played Friday, both of them, so it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, super crazy indeed. But regardless, I'm looking forward to the Bundesliga being back. Thank you for watching this video. Thank you for subscribing to our YouTube channel, liking, commenting down below. We are trying to build a community of football fans for this upcoming season to rally behind and just start dialogue, just, kick it with. So thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. I'll end us off now here with the everlasting Mia San Mia.
Up the Chelsea.